Hello, and welcome to this episode of the Real Estate Investors Club podcast. I'm here today with Angela DUPUIS and MAGGIE CARON, and we're excited to talk today about the some of the groups that they've started, one for women and one more general networking group. So just by way of introduction, Angela is a full-time real estate investor who does joint ventures and specializes in New Brunswick. And she just recently started the Real Estate Investing Goddess Network, which we're going to hear about a bit later in the podcast. Maggie is also an investor who's more focused on single-family homes. And she started the group, the Real Estate Investors of Montreal. How long has it been, Maggie, since you started the group?
So I started that in October 2020.
Okay.
October 2020,
okay.
Yeah.
And I guess both of these ladies, wanted to connect with like-minded women in Canada, and that was kind of their goal behind starting the RAIN network. So, I don't know. Do you want to just maybe start with Angela and then go to Maggie? Just tell us a little bit about how you run your business and then how that turned into wanting to start a Facebook group.
Sure. Well, I left my job of almost 16 years with Randstad. I was an area vice president and was managing offices from Ontario, from Ottawa to Nova Scotia. So it was a very social job, super around people all the time. And I left that to do real estate investing full time and found myself really missing social interaction and teamwork. So I started joining all of the groups and asking to have calls with everybody who was in real estate investing. I had been doing it for 15 years, but knew two other people who did it. And it was just not something that I had a network around me. So I started reaching out to people. One of them was Maggie. She was the admin for the Real Estate Investors of Montreal group. So I was interested in talking to her, and we really hit it off. And so for me, essentially, it started out of loneliness and desire to connect with other people.
Yeah, I'd have to say it's kind of similar for me. So around 2020, October, I was looking for other investors, and I tried to find some other Facebook groups. And I found some, but some of the groups were basically kind of set up to funnel coaching programs. And it really wasn't what I was looking for. I was really looking just to connect with other people. So I had previously opened a Facebook group for plants, another one of my passions. And so I said, okay, why not for real estate investing? So I opened Real Estate Investors of Montreal. And like Angela said, we connected shortly thereafter. And we decided to start a weekly meetup. So that was really fun. We had huge growth. Everybody was coming back week after week, and lots of people were really giving us really good feedback, saying we love this. It's the highlight of our week. And so we've been doing it for quite a while. And then just recently, towards the end of this year, is when we decided to open the women's group.
Okay. So, I'm just curious, what's it like, being admin on a big group like Real Estate Investors of Montreal? Because it's kind of cool because I remember when you started it, Maggie,
right.
Seeing it go from, I remember you posted a celebration when there were 200 followers or something. And now how many do you have?
So we have 2.7. And right now we're at that stage with the other group. We only have 340 followers. So we'll see. Hopefully it's going to grow with the same speed. But yeah, it's great. I mean, I actually have to say, I think I like the groups when they're a little bit smaller. Once it starts to get too big, you kind of start to lose who the members are. And I like being able to recognize who's making the posts and knowing their background. So the bigger it gets a little bit more challenging to do that.
Maggie's really, really good at growing the groups. So she puts quite a bit of effort into inviting people who could be good members for the group. And she recently started an Instagram page for the group, and she's been growing that and posting regularly. We're currently looking for someone to help us grow the social media for these groups because it is pretty time consuming. And as much as Maggie's really good at it, I don't think it's her favorite thing to do. but it takes a lot of work. So I just started one in Moncton because that's where I invest. So I started a group in Moncton with another female real estate investor in Moncton. And I think the group's at 120 people because we don't have Maggie reaching out to people, inviting them to join, trying to grow it.
I was going to say something about our book clubs, and we're talking about that because this week we had a book club, and the book that we did was Who Not How. So Angela is saying that, I managed to put some time and effort into growing it, but now I'm looking for the who to help us grow it more. So we want to kind of pass that over. So it's fun. Our groups have kind of morphed in not just real estate, but it's also like growth, personal growth, mindset. We're talking about other things than real estate. It's really like kind of like an entrepreneur group where people are looking to better themselves. So that's been interesting to see.
Mm-hmm. And so like, I'm curious also, in terms of what people get out of being members of a group like this. Like, let's say, I'm not the biggest fan of social media. So like, I try to stay off there as much as, as much as possible. But like, let's say somebody who wants to, get involved themselves or educate themselves, what kind of benefits do they see from joining a Facebook group like this?
I think lots. I mean, if I just, what I felt and what we're hearing other people feel, it's a sense of community, and it's a safe place where people can come and ask questions. Like, another reason why we started this was because when we were both independently looking for groups to be part of, oftentimes I would log in and you would be like a little dot in the background and it wasn't interactive. So we prioritize, because we think there's a lot of value in hearing from everybody and interacting with everybody. Everyone's free to ask questions. We've got people with various levels of experience there's always somebody who has a question to the answer. So we help each other out in that way. We've become friends. I mean, we started an accountability group on WhatsApp on the side where we, the core group of us from the Montreal group are on this WhatsApp feed, and we share things with each other, and it's become our team. And that's what people can benefit. They can join a team and benefit from everybody else's experience without having to pay. Mm-hmm. And without having to sit through, we do have guest speakers sometimes, but we really make it a priority for it to be very interactive.
And I would guess also without anyone necessarily marketing their services, right? Because like you say, sometimes people there's this fact that if you want advice, sometimes you might have to pay for it, but it's also that people give answers depending on kind of what their axe to grind is. So yeah, we don't have any of that. I mean, we have people doing various different strategies in real estate investing and private lending, and there's not that much self-interest. It's really in the spirit of development and sharing and that's.
Yeah, and last year we had it where we were just coming every week and we were just talking about whatever we felt like we wanted to talk about. And one of the members had actually mentioned to us hey, maybe you want to put a little bit more structure into this. So we focused this year on really kind of having somewhat of a schedule. So we're doing a book club once a month. We're going to have a guest once a month. Then we're going to have 2 open classes, well, not classes, but open discussions where, we just do whatever. So we're still keeping the feel of being able to just talk about whatever's on top of mind. But this also allows us to put some value add into it. And it's just not everybody shooting the shit. We're actually going there with it.
Cool. Okay. No, I mean, that makes a lot of sense. I think especially now also when we're in this thing where, some people are either stuck at home, isolated, or maybe getting together in groups, and seeing people physically is becoming more of a challenge. I think in terms of the, the connection value, I can definitely see the use of that. But so now if we transition a little bit, to women who run Facebook groups, what made you want to start a group for women?
I was connecting on the side with a lot of different people. It's one of my priorities to connect with as many people as I can on a weekly basis. And I was so inspired by the women that I was getting to know through these calls. Like, they were often the ones leading the charge in their household for finances. In fact, we kind of see that as a commonality in the women's group. It's normally the woman at the front in the driver's seat of the real estate investing, and the husbands kind of take a back seat, if there are husbands. But I was really inspired, and I was just learning so much from them. So
yeah, and we didn't really see that translate into the Wednesday group. There's a mix there, and we appreciate all the men that are there, but a lot of the women who were speaking up on our private phone calls were not as vocal in these groups. So that kind of is something that triggered us and said, okay, yeah, well, maybe we can have one a little bit different so that their voices can be heard a little bit more.
Okay. And so, I mean, does that mesh with your individual experiences as in your real estate investing activities? I mean, we always like to ask this question, when we have women who have done something that has a little bit of, I don't want to say feminist, but a little bit of like, exclusive women's groups or things like that. Is there something about your experience as investors that have like made you want to do that, or has that come more from administering the other Facebook group?
Yeah, for me, it hasn't been. I invest with my sister and our husbands, so it's a team of 4. But really, it's myself and my brother-in-law who are the main drivers. So I kind of joke sometimes that we're Bill and Sil Realty, brother-in-law and sister-in-law, and so it's not. It hasn't been that for me. So it's a mix in my team, and I just didn't really have that connection.
What about you, Angela?
Well, I mean, in all of the interactions that I have in this new job that I've created, they're primarily with men, and it's fine. And I haven't had any challenges per se, but every once in a while when there's a woman involved, I just get a little bit more excited and a little bit more inspired. And I don't know why that is. Maybe because there aren't as many, but it fuels me a little bit more, I would say.
Do you think it's a question of like, either having, I don't know, when you say like a positive role models, or just the fact that maybe you guys can relate to each other a little bit more? What would you say it is?
My background is in international trading, so buying and selling frozen meats, and it's a very male-dominated business. Like, everybody who is strong and powerful is a man in that world. And I've been in that industry for 20 years, and I worked for a company for about 3-4 years, and that was the situation. And then I met a lady who had her own trading company, and I went to work for her, and I was working there for 16 years, and it was her and I who kind of ran the charge there. I was her right hand. And so I would definitely say that I've taken her lead in that aspect.
Okay. Now, if we switch tacks a little bit, I always want to hear like people's anecdotes. And I'm sure that, in administering the group, if we don't like, I don't want to push you if there's any confidentiality issues, but like, do you have any funny anecdotes for us about what it can be like to administer a Facebook group of that size?
Jeez, I have to think of that.
I'm thinking of one particular member who
yeah.
Occasionally we'll get a new member who doesn't know any of the background of any of the core people in the call. And we had this one particular one who came in mansplaining everything. Whenever somebody would say something, I put an offer in, he would jump in and say, you make your money when you buy. You have to make sure that you're not overpaying. Or if somebody would talk about the renos they're doing, he'd be like, you should do high-end renos and market to high-end condo owners. And it's just out of nowhere. And he was over-talking people and interrupting people. And I would say occasionally we have that kind of challenge.
I have to say that it seems that people who are in real estate investing are very focused on helping one another. So yes, we've had the occasional person who's doing that, but the overall theme has been people want to see people grow and really do good things, and nobody's really in competition. People are sharing information, sharing contacts, giving advice, and it seems, I don't know if you guys have seen that as well, but it really seems to be the theme in real estate investing.
Yeah, for sure. And that is something, like, we share everything. We share legal things that we've had to pay for. We'll share inspection reports. We'll share any knowledge or anything that we have with each other.
Mm-hmm. No, but I mean, I think, has that been my experience of the real estate industry writ large? Not necessarily.
No?
I think that maybe because you guys are in, you've done this legwork to create these communities that are there for the purpose of helping others free of charge and on a voluntary basis. I think that probably puts you guys in contact with people who have that ethos about them. Right. Like, I think as you go out there and transact, it's not true that everybody who you meet, as in the real estate investment field, really has everyone else's best interest at heart. But I think it speaks to the value and to, like, the spirit of your group if you're finding that that's the case, because definitely those kind of people seem to be finding you. So
Sure, you just gave me goosebumps. I mean, we really appreciate our time together, and we actually look for any opportunity to spend time together. We've really created something really nice, and we love having new people. So just because we have our core people who are joining all of the time, I mean, every time we get a new person, it changes the dynamic. They have something else to offer, and it just growing it is really fun.
Cool. I wonder now if we can just, like, get into maybe each of a little bit of your backstory, maybe in some of the investing stuff that you do. So Angela, I know you mentioned that you invest in New Brunswick. I'm curious, what kind of buildings do you do out there? What kind of deals do you do? And why New Brunswick?
We have investments in Quebec also, but we are cash flow. That's our priority. We look for buildings that cash flow enough to be able to share the profits with our partners. Our sweet spot is between 2 and 6 units. We were doing a lot of BRRRRs over the past year, and now we're still looking for the BRRRR opportunities, and we have a list of partners who want to get in on that because it's such a powerful strategy, but we're also doing some buy and holds. Yeah?
What's a BRRRR?
A BRRRR is buy, renovate, rent, refinance, repeat. So it's B with 4 R's. It's the sequence of steps that makes it important. So we use private money to purchase a property, and then generally a partner will bring in the renovation money. We fix it up, and then we get it refinanced, pay back the private money, and the partner gets whatever is left. And then we hold long term.
And how do you, so I mean, you're in Montreal. I don't know how much back and forth you do. How do you identify those opportunities?
Well, we use every tool. I mean, we deal with wholesalers. We look on our own. My sister and I sent out 1,000 letters in the past 2 weeks. We're starting to get phone calls there. I had somebody call me from BC saying, I hear you buy properties. I'd like to sell you my duplex. So we find properties every way possible. We buy some on market too. We have an agent there. We've been really lucky. I mean, I'm from there, and I know a lot of people. I have over 80 first cousins, and a lot of them still live there. My sister works with us, and she's kind of the boots on the ground, running around and checking and sending us pictures and stuff. It's a great market. The rents are great. The price points are lower, so cash flow is possible. So we decided to go there since the cash flow is better. You're not going to find that in Montreal.
Mm-hmm. And so before we move on to you, Maggie, would you have any tips, Angela, for someone who's looking maybe at investing outside of the market that they live in? Because I think, as we're based in Montreal, as we're watching GRMs go up here, I think we're running out of opportunities that do cash flow, like you say. So what might somebody do if they're interested in exploring some of those opportunities a bit further from home?
Well, I mean, I'm a huge proponent of JVs. Find a partner who's doing it. Get in with a partner. I mean, Alberta is also good for cash flow. identify the market you're most interested in, and then find somebody who's already doing the work. I think that's the best advice, because a lot of people try and make connections with realtors out east, but realtors have so many people on their lists, and I think you need someone who really is going to work with you as a partner to make sure that the price is right, the property management is good, the renovation, the contractor is good, like who has all of those things already in place. Okay. And I'm not the only one who does it out there. There are other people. There are other people too.
Well, that's it. Whenever there's an opportunity, you're rarely alone.
Yeah, exactly.
And so Maggie, can you tell us a little bit about your business model?
Sure. So I'm doing single family homes, mainly buy and holds. I've done a few flips, but buy and hold seems to be the way that we're going. So I'm a little bit opposite of Angela. I'm doing it right in my own backyard. I'm investing in West Island. I live in the West Island. So I'm actually going after a market, I guess, that's a little bit more challenging because the prices have really appreciated in the last few years. But that has been some of the reasons that I've had some big winners, right? So we purchased a few of our properties 2019, and the appreciation on those properties has just gone through the roof. So it's we feel like geniuses, but really the market is is helping us along the way. So yeah, I mean, I'm renting homes that are usually, like, we're usually purchasing in around the 400 level, and then we're renting out somewhere around 2,000, 2,500. So it's an interesting model because we seem to get like a good quality tenant. I'm doing all my own property management, and honestly, if I get a phone call once a year, that's probably a lot. I'm not hearing from the tenants. Everything is going quite well. Yeah, it's been working great for us.
So I'm really curious, as part of my property management practice, like I had a few single family homes once upon a time, mostly South Shore, and it was very, very difficult. And so I'm really curious, and this is something that I hear from other investors and managers in Quebec, is that specifically that single family home space here, because of tenancy laws, because of the tenant pool, because of a variety of different things, it just ends up being a challenge. So I'm really curious, like, if you it seems a bit unconventional to be doing that in Quebec. Maybe can you tell me? Yeah.
I mean, I don't know if it's luck, but we have had like a 0% vacancy. We have somebody in there all the time. Our tenants have been really good. Maybe what I have done, and I don't know if other people are doing this, I'm sure there are, but we are doing a little bit of semi-furnished or furnished rental units. So, maybe it's helpful to have somebody who's in a transition. They're coming from, like, our last tenant in one of our properties in Beaconsfield was from Fiji. They came with no credit. Actually, she was a world champion netball player, so kind of up your alley, world champion. So that was pretty cool. But she had no credit here, and she was coming with her husband and her 2 kids. And she's like, "Look, I don't have anything. I'll show you my bank account. I've got plenty of money to go." And I mean, we didn't even do a credit check because there's nothing to check. But the reason why she was happy to go to our place is that it was semi-furnished. She came with her suitcase. They bought some beds, and that's all they needed to do. So I actually kind of kept that trend up with a few different properties that we have. And I seem to be catching the people who are going through a transition in their life, whether they're coming internationally or whether they're going through a divorce or something of the sort. So maybe that's what I can attribute the luck to.
Mm-hmm. I also have another question, because I think many investors meet this scalability problem when it comes to, like, residential properties, right? So 5 doors and less, eventually you end up running against your personal borrowing capacity.
Well, I have a plan for that. I don't know.
What's your plan? What's your plan?
So right now we're at 8, and the banks are still saying yes. So knock on wood, they're going to continue to say yes for a little while. But once they say no, I heard on a podcast recently that a way to kind of go around that is to get a commercial mortgage, a blanket commercial mortgage. So let's say these 8 properties that we have right now, if on the next one the bank says no, well, then I can look at going to one of the banks and saying, hey, look at this package of 8 properties. Let's put it under a commercial mortgage, get that done, and free up all my space again, and then start again and build another 8.
Okay. So it's possible to package together the doors yourself. And then, like, even if it's not, let's say, a 6-plex, you can almost create a 6-plex out of a bunch of other properties and get a global mortgage. Okay. Good tip. Okay, ladies, I think that's pretty much the questions I have for you today. Is there something that I missed? Is there anything you want to add?
No, just if anybody out there is interested in our groups, we meet up Tuesday morning at 10 o'clock for the women's group, and we meet up Wednesday morning, 10 a.m. for the mixed group. So everybody is welcome.
And also the way that you can gain access to this. How can people gain access to it? Should they like the Facebook page? Should they ask to join through Meetup? What's the best way to do it?
So I would say the most information that we're going to post is on our Instagram, which is rain_Canada. And then, of course, join both Facebook groups, Real Estate Investors of Montreal and RAIN.
And RAIN is spelled REIGN.
Correct.
Real Estate Investing Goddess Network, if you can't
That's
remember that. Okay, ladies, well, I want to thank you for sharing this lunchtime with me and with our audience, and hopefully people are going to get some value out of it.
Thank you, Terry. It was nice to be here.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.